What's up, everybody? Do you have a hard time getting motivated or maybe motivating other people? Well, you're in luck because today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to use incentives to motivate. This is the Existential Stoic podcast. I'm Randy. That's Danny. What's going on, Danny?
What's up, Randy?
Yeah, so today's an exciting one. We're going to figure out how to
Yeah.
manipulate people through incentives. And the best part is, when we took a look at this beforehand, I looked at incentivizing other people, and you looked at it as incentivizing yourself. So we have a bunch of different
Yeah.
answers that'll all work out.
Isn't
So
it funny how that happens though? You just read it differently. It's like a whole different set of stuff.
I thought everybody was supposed to look at the world how I look at the world. What's going
Yeah.
on? So I'll just go ahead and start. So my first one for using incentives to motivate people is finding people's passions. So like if you're trying to motivate somebody with something that they don't care about, it's just not going to work, you know? And so like you can try and offer them so much of whatever they don't care about, and it's just not going to work. But you find their passion, you find what they're really into, and all of a sudden you have the key to being able to motivate them.
It's a really good one. And it's funny because, you know, it's like so simple sounding or commonsensical, but it's like you look at like every corporation in the world and they do it wrong. It's like they focus on the wrong things, they throw the wrong things at people. And you're right. It's like you have to first know, I think, if you really want to incentivize people, you have to know them. You have to know what they actually like and know what they actually want. And that'll work better than anything else you could just come up with or however much stuff you can pile on. Yeah, it's a good
Mhm.
one. My first one for thinking about motivating yourself or, with incentives is combining difficult tasks with things you like. So things you don't want to do, combine them with things that you do want to do or that you like. So a classic example is like, doing your cardio and only allowing yourself to watch your favorite TV show when you're doing your cardio. So like it forces you to do it, 30 minutes a day or something. But you can expand this, obviously to like, you know, um, trying to find something you're passionate about and then like trying to, find time to work on that after work so you can like combine like your free time with doing something to better yourself so that you can then, right, change your life later down the road. Like these kinds of like combinations can help you, I think, incentivize activities and behaviors.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you're getting done something you want to do, and at the same time, you're getting done something that's good for you. Like I used to
Yeah.
love on Saturdays and Sundays going for a nice long drive while listening to some good audiobooks. That way,
Yeah.
I was growing my brain and just like relaxing from a drive. That was the same type of
Dude, when
thing.
I had to commute, those things were like godsend. Like they made it so nice and so much better.
I know. Gosh, I feel bad for people who had to grow up reading books.
Just listen.
I know, right?
Uh,
So my second one for using incentives to motivate is asking people why. So when people want something, we automatically assume we know why they want it. We could be way off. And here's the crazy thing is that when you start asking people why, particularly asking them over and over again, like you ask them why and they give you an answer. And then you ask them why that answer and they give you another answer. Because the first answer is what they think you want to hear. The second answer is like something
yeah.
else. And then eventually, after a few times, you get down to the real answer. And the best part of this is that it may be so much easier to incentivize them once you actually know why they want that, because it may be something you can fulfill instantly, and then boom, you got your
Yeah.
motivation right there.
Yeah, it makes it possible for you to actually really help them. But I'm glad you mentioned that too. You actually do have to ask why, like more than numerous times sometimes. It's like you have to just keep pushing for it, right? Because it's funny, I was thinking about this the other day, and we talked about this before. Like, when people ask you, how are you doing? We always say, like, good. It's like without even thinking, right? Like so many of our responses in social life are just like these like knee-jerk kind of like, what we think people want to hear, what's polite, what's nice, whatever. And we don't ever really actually say what we want or what's going on with us. And so you really do have to push.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, like the social interactions that are required. Like this week when I went back to the office on Monday, I was saying what's up to somebody, and he was like, "Oh, back on Monday. At the beginning of a week, it's Monday," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's like another opportunity to have a great week.
Yeah.
Like, what's the big deal?" But it's like that's so ingrained in our psyche.
Yeah.
It's like you gotta hate Mondays. You only look forward to Friday and Saturday.
And it's like, dude, the Mondays will keep coming too for quite a long time. So you really, it's a terrible outlook. you
Pretty much, I'm pretty sure they're coming once a week nowadays.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Oh, it's funny. Um, yeah, okay. So my second one is and creating goals list for ourselves. So like what we want to achieve, but also creating rewards related to each goal that we will get when we achieve them. I think this is actually really helpful. I think you mentioned this to me a while back, but like it is really helpful because you kind of pick something that you really want or something that you've been thinking about for a long time that you want to get, and then you attach it to something, to one of your goals, one of your pursuits, and it really does motivate because it keeps you going, keeps you thinking about it, and like just helps you. And it also just it gives you a chance to actually celebrate a success, which I think is important.
That's a great point because you do have to actually celebrate the successes. Like we we're all stuck with this fallacy of thought that when I get there, then I'll be happy, or this happily ever
Yeah.
after mentality. And it's just not true. It's just like life is just a bunch of kind of milestones. You get here, and then from there you can see further, you go there. And if you don't take the time to actually enjoy it, then you're just going to miss out on the whole process.
Yeah.
So actually, like
Yeah.
attaching rewards with goals, things that you want to achieve, having rewards associated with them, you not only get to accomplish a goal, which makes you happy and feeling good, but you also get this reward that you wanted, and you can take the time to celebrate it so you don't miss out on the whole experience. You don't. I've done that so
Yeah.
often in life where I've been so motivated to do something that I finally did it, and I'm like, okay, that's great. Now I got to go on and do this thing
Next
that I
thing.
never even took time to celebrate what I just spent years doing.
It's so funny too, because when you think that way too, it's like you keep telling yourself, I'll be happy once I get that, but then there's never an end to the getting or to the next thing. So it's like you're never fulfilled in that respect. So you'll never be happy. It's like it's a
Mhm.
really, yeah, it's
Yeah, it's
funny.
a terrible mindset to have.
It is. It's really bad.
Yeah. Is it my turn?
Your third one. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
okay.
We di
Is,
It's
is that
okay. We
how we do
digress.
this? I forget. We're
I don't
only on
know.
episode like 170. Uh, anyways, the next one that I have for how to use incentives to motivate is don't give money. Now, this is something a lot of people think like, oh, if I just give money. And it's like, yeah, you can give money and it might motivate somebody, but it's going to be relatively worthless because they're going to spend the money and then it's going to be gone.
And
Whereas
also
if you give it,
inflation.
yeah, that too. Yeah. Whereas if you give them like an experience for to motivate them, they're going to remember that for their entire lives. So like using money is just like a very weak way of going about it. Whereas you can do much better things through experiences, and it may also cost you a lot less if you do it in that
Yeah.
way.
You know what's funny? They actually found, I remember reading a study that they found like giving awards was actually more positively received by recipients than a cash prize, even though like 90% of the time, like the actual award is worth, costs less. But it's like the recognition, it's the sense of
That's
accomplishment, the thing that you can write down, whatever. Yeah.
that's such a great point. I still remember getting coming in second place in the spelling bee in second grade, but I don't remember a single scholarship that I got to go to university. So like the money,
Right.
totally forget, but I still remember winning second place.
Yeah. Well, there's only like one second place in the spelling bee. There's a million scholarships, right?
Yeah.
All right. My last one is oh yeah, so actually motivating yourself with activities that are actually fulfilling. So what I mean by this is like we were talking about before, we get caught up in this like kind of like chasing the next thing, chasing the next thing, but actually setting time aside in our schedule for like hanging out with friends and family, doing hobbies, like maybe relaxing, just resting, whatever, and giving ourselves time to do that as sort of an incentive for everything else we're doing, and then therefore incorporating it more into our lives for like a more balanced life.
That's a great point because like one of the biggest tenets of happiness is doing stuff you love. And
Yeah.
people get lost. Like I mean, I told you this week I was reading this really frustrating book about a guy who just made a ton of money and had these amazing life experiences, and it just frustrated me to no end. But then at the end of the book, he was like, all this stuff that I've done, it just has completely diminishing return. Like, the first time I sat in a Ferrari was amazing. Now I buy one and it doesn't even satisfy me for 24 hours. And it's just like but he was like, happiness comes from a list of things, one of those things being doing stuff you love. And that makes it really important to focus on that because we're all so busy chasing money, thinking that when we get money, then we'll be happy.
Yeah.
Bad mindset to have. Whereas instead, you just do stuff you love and you'll end up being happy.
Damn right.
Hmm.
Uh,
So, that is all for this episode, how to incentivize people. This is the Existential Stoic podcast. I'm Randy. That's Danny. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. Check us out on YouTube and also the podcast. I'll see you later, Danny.
Later, Randy.